This is AfridaNews coming to you from the capital city of Accra, Ghana, where the drums beat for Africa. I am Ohini Kwekuchiresika. Ghana finds itself in a position this government had hoped to prevent, going to the International Monetary Fund for a loan. As part of the loan obligations, the country conducted a debt sustainability analysis that, according to the Minister of Finance, will help restore Ghana's macroeconomic stability. As part of these measures, the government has proposed a domestic debt exchange program in which the government has asked local bondholders to accept losses on interest payments as it restructures its debt to qualify for a loan from the International Monetary Fund. Since its announcement, the pushback has led to meetings by the finance minister with the various stakeholder groups to reach some consensus and compromises. One such group was the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, and recently, the convener, Martin Pegu, stated that assurances have been received from the finance minister that individual bondholders will be exempted from the domestic debt exchange program. The convener, Mr. Pegu, issued a press release in which he gave assurances that Ghana's finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has promised to pay individual bondholders their coupons and principals as they fall due, thus effectively exempting us from the domestic debt exchange program. Despite the gloomy predictions, many analysts believe that Ghana's economic outlook remains positive, with expectations of a rebound thanks in large part to the $3 billion bailout package the country expects to receive from the International Monetary Fund. A recent economic report by the African Development Bank, AfDB, shows that Ghana's GDP growth for 2022 was 3.6%, 1.8 percentage points below 2021, which was 5.4%, and lower than the average of other African countries. The report noted that a number of African countries realized GDP growth rates above 5%, with others surpassed 7%. In its analysis, the bank indicated that this trend highlighted a growing divide between the economic performance of different nations in Africa. In 2022, the top African growth performers were Seychelles with 8.3%, Rwanda with 6.9%, and Kenya with 5.5%. The International Monetary Fund projected that 26 sub-Saharan African countries would end 2022 with a GDP growth rate higher than Ghana. Additionally, the International Monetary Fund World Economic Outlook projects that Ghana's GDP growth rate will slow down from 5.3% in 2021 to 3.59% by the end of 2023, with an expected further decline to 2.84% in 2023. Ghana has long been considered a leader in West Africa. It finds itself in a position it is not used to, struggling to keep pace with its regional neighbors. According to the government, the country is facing several economic challenges, including high inflation, a widening budget deficit, and depreciating currency due to the global unanticipated and unprecedented issues such as COVID-19 pandemic and the impacts of the Russia-Ukraine war. Despite the gloomy predictions, many analysts believe that Ghana's economic outlook remains positive, with expectations of a rebound thanks in large part to the $3 billion bailout package the country expects to receive from the International Monetary Fund. Last week, Ghana's former president and potential NDC presidential hopeful John Dramani Mahama spoke at Chatham House in London on Africa's strategic priorities and global role. As part of his presentation, the former president indicated that the government of the current Ghanaian president, Nana Akufo-Addo, had destroyed the bustling Ghanaian economy he inherited from the NDC administration. According to Mr. Mahama, Ghana's present economic situation, underscored by our bankrupt status, sharply contrasts with what the country's finances looked like a little over a decade ago. He posited that then, Ghana's economic posted some of the highest growth rates in the world with a robust and fast-growing non-oil sector. Today, Mr. Mahama is quoted as saying, "Many of our economic indicators are pointing south. We have in the last month entered the hyperinflation era with an inflation rate of 54%. Our currency has in the past few months been counted among the worst performing in the world, plummeting by as much as 54% in value within the first 10 months of 2022. Widening budget deficits have characterized economic performances since 2018. A severe cost of living crisis, fueled by ever-rising prices of basic goods, has imposed extreme hardship on Ghanaians as the government struggles to meet some of its most basic commitments in areas like education and health. Unemployment stood at a staggering 30%, the highest in recent memory. The former president blamed mismanagement and corruption as contributing factors to where the African nation currently finds itself. Mr. Mahama rejected government claims of attributing the country's financial woes to COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. In his words, available data shows that many of our neighbors in West Africa and further afield posted much better economic performances than we did during and after the pandemic. AfridaNews has not been able to find any official government response to Mr. Mahama's claims. In Malawi, there have been more than 1,000 deaths from a cholera outbreak that started in March 2020. This was disclosed by Malawi's health minister, Kumbe Chiponda, during a press conference last week. According to a statement released about the ministry, cases reported since the outbreak have risen to 31,241, while the death toll stands at 1,023. During the press conference, the health minister expressed concern that the cholera deaths had doubled within a period of 4 weeks. Government data shows that as of December 26th, total deaths from the outbreak stood at 486. The minister also shared that this was the worst cholera outbreak in 2 decades. 66% of the casualties were men. 11 children have also died as a result of the bacterial disease. This current fatality rate surpasses the country's largest cholera outbreak, which killed more than 900 people between 2001 and 2002. According to the health ministry statement, some cultural rituals related to the death of cholera victims help to perpetuate the disease. For example, people who are dying or who have died from cholera may be watched by family members who then prepare funeral feasts. Outbreaks of cholera commonly follow these feasts. In 2022, the United Nations called the cholera outbreaks across the globe a worrying upsurge. Following several years of decline, people who live in areas with shortages of safe drinking water or inadequate sanitation are vulnerable to the disease. This is AfridaNews. Thank you and stay safe.